How smart are cats? Have you ever caught your cat staring at you across the room with those wide, unblinking eyes that seem to pierce right through your soul? You know the look, the one that makes you wonder if they're judging every single life choice you've ever made, or worse, if they're plotting something devious like replacing you with a Roomba. And in those moments, you can't help but ask yourself the age-old question: just how smart are cats, really? Are they little furry masterminds secretly running the household? Or are they just fluffy loafs of fur who got lucky because we keep filling their food bowls on time? Today, we're diving deep into the mysterious, hilarious, and surprisingly sophisticated world of feline intelligence. We're going to explore what science says about their brains, how their smarts stack up against dogs, and how they use their intelligence to manipulate, amuse, and sometimes frustrate the humans who dare to live in their kingdom. And let me warn you now, once you understand how truly clever your cat is, you might start seeing them less like a pet and more like the boss of a very tiny, very dramatic company. Let's start with something every cat owner has experienced. You're relaxing on the couch and suddenly you hear a faint noise in the kitchen. You investigate and find your cat has opened the cabinet, pulled out a bag of treats, and is now staring at you with an expression that says, "What? You weren't going to eat these anyway." That's not an accident. That's problem solving. Cats have remarkable cognitive abilities when it comes to manipulating their environment to get what they want. Studies have shown they can open doors, figure out latches, and even remember the steps needed to access a hidden reward. It's like living with a tiny, fluffy escape artist who also happens to be a snack thief. Dr. Mittens, my orange tabby, once spent an entire afternoon working out how to open the refrigerator. He'd watched me pull it open enough times to understand the basic mechanics. He jumped up, hooked his paw around the handle, and yanked with all his might. When the door didn't budge, he sat down, tail twitching, eyes narrowed, clearly running calculations in his head like a furry little engineer. On his third attempt, he succeeded. I walked into the kitchen just in time to see him pulling a package of deli turkey onto the floor, victorious. It wasn't just persistence, it was strategy. But it's not just their ability to solve physical puzzles that makes cats brilliant. It's their emotional intelligence. People often say cats are aloof, but if you've ever had a cat climb into your lap right when you're feeling sad, you know that's not true. Cats are highly attuned to our emotions. Studies have shown they can read our facial expressions, recognize the tone of our voice, and adjust their behavior accordingly. They may not bark or wag their tails like dogs, but their empathy runs deep, though admittedly, it's sometimes delivered with a side of sarcasm. I'll never forget the time I was crying over a particularly emotional scene in a movie. Dr. Mittens hopped up beside me, pressed his little head against my arm, and let out a soft purr that felt like the feline equivalent of, "There, human." It was a beautiful, comforting moment. Then, without warning, he batted the popcorn bowl onto the floor. Emotional support with a touch of chaos. That's the essence of cat companionship. Of course, intelligence isn't just about solving problems or recognizing emotions. It's also about memory, and here's where cats truly shine. Their memories are astonishingly sharp, especially when it comes to experiences tied to strong emotions, like food, danger, or affection. Cats remember who's been kind to them and who hasn't. They remember where you hide the treats, even if you haven't pulled them out in months. And yes, they absolutely remember that one time you accidentally stepped on their tail 3 years ago. Dr. Mittens still glares at my cousin whenever she visits. She stepped on his tail completely by accident, mind you, back in 2018, and he's never forgiven her. He doesn't hiss. He doesn't swipe. He just stares at her with a look so cold and unyielding it could freeze boiling water. If cats kept grudges on paper, his would be laminated and alphabetized. But let's talk about communication for a moment, because cats may be the quiet geniuses of the animal world, but they're also master manipulators. Did you know that adult cats rarely meow at each other in the wild? That's right. They developed meowing specifically for communicating with humans. It's as if they looked at us and thought, these slow, lumbering creatures don't understand tail flicks and ear rotations. We'd better invent a new language for them. And what a language it is. Cats adjust the pitch, volume, and length of their meows to convey different needs. There's the feed me now meow, the I want attention but only on my terms meow, and of course, the infamous I demand entry into this room even though I just left it 2 seconds ago meow. Dr. Mittens has perfected a 3 a.m. yowl that could win him an Oscar. It's a sound so pitiful, so heartbreaking, that I've stumbled out of bed more than once thinking he was in mortal danger, only to find him sitting by his empty food bowl with the air of a king whose servants have failed him. Now I know what you're wondering. Does all this mean cats are smarter than dogs? Well, let's put it this way. Dogs will perform tricks because they want to please you. Cats will perform tricks if they feel like it, but they'll also figure out how to open the treat jar when you're not looking. In terms of brain structure, cats have about 250 million neurons in their cerebral cortex compared to a dog's 530 million, but they use them differently. Cats are solitary hunters by nature, which means their intelligence is geared toward independent problem-solving rather than pack-based cooperation. They're not less smart, they're just differently smart. And then there's the philosophical side of feline intelligence. You've seen it. Your cat sitting by the window, staring out at nothing for hours on end. What are they thinking? Are they planning their next move in the great battle against the vacuum cleaner? Are they contemplating the meaning of existence? Or are they simply watching a moth? Scientists can't say for certain, but one thing's clear. Cats are highly observant, constantly analyzing their environment in ways we don't fully understand. Dr. Mittens once spent 15 straight minutes staring at his own reflection in the mirror. Was he admiring himself, plotting world domination, or having an existential crisis? The world may never know, but I'm convinced there's more going on behind those whiskers than we give them credit for. So, how smart are cats? They're problem solvers, emotional geniuses, memory champions, and master communicators. But perhaps their greatest intelligence lies in this. They've convinced us we're in charge, when in reality, we're just their loyal staff. Every time your cat meows, every time they curl up in your lap, and yes, Every time they knock your water glass off the counter while staring directly into your eyes, they're showing you just how clever they really are. The next time your cat does something that seems ridiculous or frustrating, remember, there's probably a strategy behind it. They're not just cute little fur balls. They're complex, cunning creatures who have spent thousands of years perfecting the art of living with humans and making us adore them for it. So what about your cat? How do they show off their genius? Do they open doors, manipulate your emotions? Or maybe they've trained you to feed them at 3 a.m. Share your stories in the comments below. I'd love to hear all about how your feline overlord has outsmarted you this week. And if you're fascinated by the brilliant, mysterious minds of cats, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss another deep dive into their world. Until next time, remember, your cat isn't just a pet. They're a tiny, purring philosopher-scientist wrapped in fur, and you're lucky enough to be their chosen human.